Gentlemen, hey, congratulations on your short film. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Leylak?
Yep, Leylak.
Terrific. Well, first of all, congratulations on this short film. It's a beautiful short film. And once again, congratulations on it's going to premiere at Tribeca. How does it feel about that?
It feels absolutely amazing. All that hard work and dedication, all these years, really trying to make short films together and get to this certain point as pinnacle at such a prestigious film festival, and a festival that's in our home state is a beautiful thing.
Now, both of you worked on short films before. Two other short films before?
Yeah,
two or three.
Yep. We directed, produced, and edited two other short films before Leylak. The first one was Bardo, and the second one was called The Untimely Gift, and now we have Leylak.
Terrific. So, where the original story came from for Leylak here?
Yeah, so basically at the beginning of the New York lockdown, we've met our writer Mustafa Kamak a couple of months before that. And we were discussing with him, they wanted to do a project with him, but we weren't too sure what that project would be. Nothing was really clicking. But then the pandemic started, the New York lockdown went down, and then we reached out to Mustafa and said, hey, maybe this is something that can spark our interest. We're going to be locked down now in New York. Maybe we figure out a film that takes place during the pandemic, not necessarily about the pandemic, but focuses on a relationship that we can discuss, that can be, featured about anybody, father, daughter, son, mother, husband, wife. We wanted to focus and create a story that anybody can relate to.
Now, it's Mustafa. Is he Turkish? Because the characters are Turkish.
Yeah, he's Turkish.
Yup, he's Turkish. He was born in Ankara, Turkey. He moved to America, initially to Alaska. Then he moved to New York for Columbia University and to attend there. And the Turkish characters are amazing. And his previous short film, which was Green, that won the U.S. Jury short film prize at Sundance 2 years ago. So, and those focus on Turkish characters as well. And what's really awesome about the Turkish characters and immigrants is that that's what New York's all about. It's a melting pot. And to focus on frontline and essential workers, a majority of them in jobs that aren't as beautiful and a little bit more crummy are more towards that immigrant place. And we were able to showcase that in our film, which was a beautiful thing that we were able to dive deep into for ourselves.
Are either of you or both of you have Turkish ties too? Because there is a little bit of Turkish language in this film.
So my mom was actually born in Istanbul. It was actually a small Greek community, and then when the Turks took over at the time, then she came to the United States. So technically, yes, there is a small little Turkish, I would say, in my family. It's because my mom and both my grandparents were actually born in Turkey.
For me, there's no Turkish background, but one beautiful thing about the Turkish people is that they brought us into their lives, our caste, our rank. Isabella, her mom has brought us all together. Nadir, our lead actor, Mustafa, we've all become a family. It's a very strong familial ties, no matter who you are. But that's what New York's all about as well.
Exactly.
So if Mustafa started writing once the lockdown began, when did you guys start the production? Because obviously, a lot of stuff was mercurial, at the beginning of this pandemic.
Yeah, of course. So, so we started shooting the last 2 days of July, first 2 days of August. So it was a 4-day shoot. And then about a month and a half before that, we realized that there's a very strong chance we would be able to shoot in a somewhat, in the safest environments possible that will allow us to actually go and shoot the production. So at last 2 days in July, first 2 days in August, 4 days, and made it happen.
What extra precautions did you guys have to take during this, extreme times? Obviously, today we're a little bit much more relaxed, but I'm sure that summer it was very strict or very crazy.
I would say the traditional guidelines. So like social distancing, wearing a mask, sanitizing. My brother's fiance is a nurse at Northwell. She was on the front line, but she would come to set every day in the morning, take everyone's temperature, make sure everyone, was good. If anyone didn't feel well, we obviously said, please report, let us know if you're not feeling well. So we did whatever we could. Like I said, sanitizing, we had a little wash station on set. So, before, after, everyone was sanitizing, making sure they're clean. And that was pretty much it, I would say.
Yeah, and on top of that, like our meals, everything was individually packed. We actually asked all our cast and crew, what is actually the meal that you want? So instead of it being a buffet or, free for all, like, what do you want? What's the exact meal? And then also when we were on set, one of our main location, which is the apartment, was a tight location. It wasn't much ventilation either. So one thing that we had to, adapt to is also, circulating and rotating our departments so that not everybody could be there at once working. So scheduling and all other stuff, we had to just figure everything out and learn as we were going, switching masks halfway through the day, just trying to make sure everyone felt comfortable.
Every day was definitely a challenge, for sure.
Yeah.
Were you guys under pressure to get this thing done quickly, as a lot faster than usual projects?
Yeah, I think we, I think we would have liked maybe 1 or 2 more days to shoot. But, I think we needed to respect the times and feel the pressure and feel the stress or the anxiety that everyone else was just feeling in general. We were doing something pretty amazing, shooting a film during a pandemic. People were losing jobs, people were losing lives, and we don't deserve any extra luxury. We had to put our foot to the pedal and make this thing happen no matter what, under the circumstances, of course.
Well, then let's talk about Nadir. I understand that this is his first film here in the United States. How did you discover him and brought him on board?
Yeah, so Mustafa actually met Nadir, after Sundance, through the Sundance circuit, met him, and obviously the Turkish relations, they found, commonality. And Mustafa wrote this with Nadir in mind, and he reached out to him and said, hey, I think this might be a wonderful opportunity for you. And, Nadir hasn't done any shorts in a very long time. He's had a wonderful, wonderful, luxurious career. But now coming to the United States, he thought this could be a wonderful way to crack in. And, we opened our arms and try to give him the best opportunity to showcase his talents.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. You had a wonderful lead. Of course, we can't forget the young actress Isabella too. Could you talk about her?
Yes, I mean, this is her first film, and to have a performance like this and to have a mentor like Nadir, is just a blessing for us and for her. Her family is extremely supportive of her career, and
she got into Tribeca Film Festival. I mean, a lot of actresses, when they're starting off, they don't score a festival like that on the first try. And she did it on her first project, so that's also going to open tremendous doors for her.
But what's so amazing about her, she's just so brilliant. She's able to open her brain, intake anything that we've said, anything that Mustafa said, and having Nadir as her backbone for this whole entire process. Whatever we said, she was open to it. And then she changed. We had certain direction, she changed. We were talking to her about the character. She had certain questions that are just brilliant for a child's mind to come up with, that were just so intrinsic and so, internally, mentally riveting, that she would think of this and what the character would actually feel like. She even had comments about the script and say, I'm not too sure if I would actually say that. So she really enveloped the character as herself. But I think she has a wonderful career ahead of her.
Absolutely.
And it's just a blessing that we're just jumping board for her just to get into this career.
Absolutely. I think you guys did a tremendous job of, finding the right people to keep, the story real and grounded in its own way. One of the things that a lot of people be watching is the fact that the main character is a gravedigger, which is quite unusual for any type of story. Could you talk about having that character as a gravedigger and finding the graves during this crucial time to film at?
Yeah, so I guess we'll first jumpstart off of the graves. That was a 2-day process to actually create. That was a piece of land from, one of Dennis's friends was so nice enough to actually give us the land in the backyard in Windham, New York. And we had
got
some,
lucky.
we got very, very lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't allowed into any real cemeteries or graveyards because they were unfortunately over flooded with actual bodies. And, we had major machinery trying to make this happen, get the holes big enough, more realistic. And we got the set and we're thinking, okay, we'll have like 50 or 20 holes. But then as we're seeing this actually happen, we're like, okay, we need triple the amount. We need to express this enormity in just the production design. Just as an opening shot, we raise the camera up and boom, what is going on? Send chills up the spine. So, I mean, that in and of itself is just a very striking visual, But in regards to using a character as a gravedigger, I mean, it's ironic in and of itself, We're living through a time where no one has a clue how you're going to get the virus. How do you contract it? How do you give it? Once you get it, are you going to pass away? Nobody knows. But as a frontline worker, as an essential worker, no one really thinks of cemetery workers. I mean, these guys are getting physically and emotionally destroyed during this time. It's already a tough job off the bat having to, bury bodies and commemorate them. But now with the pandemic, there's so many YouTube videos of seeing bodies just not caring. And I think showing a gravedigger who does care and still wants to commemorate and still wants to remember these people in the right light and take care of them, and have them make sure they rest in peace and have the respect for them, I think is really, really important.
And to also add to what Scott said too, it's like a lot of the, we don't want to take away the light from the frontline workers at the hospital, the doctors and the nurses, but the other unsung heroes are the guys that were taking these bodies and, putting them to rest. So that's also a really tough job because you have those bodies and they were coming in one after another, to the point where I think I remember some hospitals had to rent like big tractor trailers and put them in the back, with freezers and keep the bodies in there until they can actually go to the cemetery.
Yeah, we actually called a bunch of cemeteries, and a lot of them were busy and wouldn't want to talk to us. But some of those cemeteries that we were lucky enough to speak to gave us some really deep insight of not only the process of how the bodies were being delivered, but the actual workers and what they were going through.
And also with the attire too, I think with wardrobe, we needed to be as realistic as possible. So, in the beginning, you see the guys that are wearing like the hazmat suits, and we said to ourselves, well, would the diggers be wearing hazmat suits or would they just be, in cemetery attire? So we were very careful and very attentive to detail as to what everyone was wearing. And in a realistic scenario, is this attire realistic with what was happening? So everything had to be spot on because we don't want somebody to watch this film and say, oh, well, that would never happen, or that's not real, or that's too Hollywood. So we tried to really stick to make everything as realistic as possible.
Yeah, I think I'm drawing those images of New York's Ground Zero when they just piled bodies upon bodies at a certain point during that summer. So, well, I'm glad both of you actually made this film, which is a tribute to what actually has been happening. So let me wrap it up with one last question. Obviously, it has to be a pandemic question because we're still in the midst of a pandemic right now. But obviously, yourself, I'm assuming you folks are in New York right now. I'm here in California, and both coast to coast, we're starting to get vaccinated, and the industry is starting to open up. But during the past 13 to 14 months, how are you both were staying sane and creative during a time like this?
Yeah, so great
question.
Great question. I think one of the ways that you can stay creative is knowing how to innovate, and thinking of how the next way to innovate is. I think taking the time, whether you're actually creating or actually getting out there and doing that process, that's one form of creativity. There's another form of creativity that happens in the brain, and it's planning, it's strategy, it's figuring out how am I make the next move. So luckily at the beginning of the pandemic, we set ourselves up to not feel that guilt or that, absence of creativity. We said, let's try to make a film during this time. So that whole pre-production process brought us right into July. And then we started editing. That brought us right into September, October. And then things started opening up. And then we started, fortunately, working again in the industry slowly as things were happening. So I think it's watching movies. That was a beautiful time. A lot of good stuff came out. Netflix and Amazon, you're able to catch up on the movies and TV shows. I think that is also a form of creativity, staying alive, being inspired by these new works and new ways of developing.
I would say the same. I mean, the film itself kept us busy. So we had something to look forward to every day. And it was like, pre-production, production, editing, color, sound. There was always something going on. And it was, we had a deadline in our heads because we had to start submitting to festivals. But I think every morning we'd get up and we're like, all right, what are we going to do today? What's the next step to get this film done? So we just stayed busy. We just tried to stay busy.
Well, that's an excellent answer. Well, the end results is Tribeca for you guys, and it's very, not only it's timely, it's also location wise. It's a perfect short film for this film.
Thank you so much.
So once again, gentlemen, hey, Scott, Dennis, hey, congratulations for Leylak, and hopefully I get to talk to you guys again for another short film or hopefully a feature film down the road.
For
Absolutely.
sure. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Next time. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.